I'm going to talk to you about applications of ML and AI in Google ad performance products. But before I begin, I just wanted to spend 30 odd seconds on the India online landscape. We have about 400 million internet users, and 300 million of these are coming from smartphones only. Now, depending on which report or which source you're consulting, this number might fluctuate a little bit, but the point is we have a lot of users on the internet, and a lot of them are currently on smartphones. And that's growing, changing rapidly. By the way, another stat I was looking at was the fact that we are only behind China in terms of numbers of internet users and mobile internet users. Another interesting stat which I picked up from our data is that 65% or more of all searches are coming from mobile. When I say searches coming from mobile, what I mean is when you are querying google.com, all those queries, if you consider in totality, more than 65% of those queries are coming from mobile phones now. And the last thing which I thought I'll highlight is the explosion in mobile video. YouTube has seen 5x growth in watch time year over year. And then I thought I'll just quickly delve on what changes we observe in marketing now. Gone are the days of mass marketing where you had lots of reach, lots of users, but not a lot of differentiation, which is where you were buying TV and print and radio and billboards. By no means am I saying that you aren't buying them now, but what I'm highlighting is the fact that a lot of that audience is moving online, not just moving online, they're in fact transitioning online. They aren't using these mediums anymore. So now, a typical consumer journey is a multi-channel, multi-device, multi-platform consumer journey. Some of which I thought I will highlight with the research which we recently ran. An example which I picked out to bring here is a digital savvy mom. She was looking for Pokemon Go online for her son, and her research indicated that it was close to about 200 touch points before she decided to purchase something. 200 touch points. And when I say 200 touch points, I mean she looked at a video, she went to a website, she checked out an app, she considered taking a discount with a coupon, she looked at an email, etc., etc. Now this obviously is a complicated journey. It's not something which happened in one day, understandably, because I wasn't expecting her to understand the phenomena that Pokemon is. I personally still don't, but for her, it was obviously a little more complicated than it would have been for me. But when the consumer journey is moving from channel to device to platform, why are we still buying media in silos? And these are some of the sample journey points which we put together when she was looking for, as I told you, Pokemon Go online. Enter machine learning. This is going to be the crux of my presentation, that you can today use audience data, first party, second party, third party, fourth, fifth, sixth, no matter how many parties you have, there is audience data, there is data available, and you can apply machine learning to be able to reduce complexity, get scale, and get ROI. But what is machine learning? Machine learning is the science of getting computers to act without being explicitly programmed. Now, this is just a definition. I wanted to throw an example, and what better example to put in than cats and dogs? Now, image recognition is a hard problem. As human beings, we never notice how easy it is for us to recognize, understand, and conclude whether this is a cat or a dog. But imagine that problem for a machine. How machine learning is able to identify whether this is a cat or a dog is by looking at thousands and thousands and thousands of examples of cats and dogs, and eventually it is conclusively able to say, oh yes, I know, I have seen this before. This, by the way, is a dog. A lot of this is being applied in our consumer products. You may or may not have seen this, but we are building smart intelligence into photos, into Gmail, into YouTube, into search, into translate, as well as in maps. But these are consumer products. We're here to talk about digital marketing. This, by the way, was, in my view, a crowning achievement for machine learning and artificial intelligence, where a computer defeated the world champion of the game Go. It was last year where AlphaGo won against Lee Sedol, who was the reigning world champion. And analysts believe that this feat was many, many, many years away from when it really happened. Because Go, by the way, is about 100 times more complex than the game of chess. Go is an ancient Chinese game. It's a board game, looks pretty simple. You can pick up the rules quickly. But the number of permutations and combinations for just one move are immense. So enter machine learning, which trained on how to play Go against the best of the best, and eventually managed to defeat the best. By the way, just recently, 2 weeks ago, this challenge was run again with Kiji. Kiji was, or rather is, the current world champion, and AlphaGo came up on top again. In many ways, this was signaling to the world that ML and AI has come of age. While we understand that these applications are built into different products, this was something which announced to the world that yes, it is bigger, it is ready for bigger things. But what does all of that mean for us? We are here talking about digital marketing. What does it mean for us is, in this complex world of many, many, many consumer touch points, many, many, many campaigns which you possibly have to manage, with creatives, with bids and budgets and agencies and OKRs, how can it help you to get scale, to get efficiency? Those are the two things which I personally as a marketer care about: scale and efficiency. So there were 3 trends which I picked out, and I talked about 3 specific products and areas where this is getting ingested. The first one is evaluating channels with a customer lens. I spoke to you about how we have many, many different channels, and if we keep looking at channels, you'll always have a myopic view of your marketing, because your customer's moving a lot faster than you are in your marketing. The second thing which I wanted to highlight was, how can you use intelligence at every step? And I'll elaborate here, because intelligence at every step could mean a lot of things. Here, I wanted to highlight how you can use passive and active data and put it to good use for marketing in your own scheme of things. And I'll bring about how can you do that. And the third thing was that your customers are giving you a lot of insights all the while. Are you being able to use that data which you already have and haven't really gathered as an insight, bringing it back to your marketing and making it work for you? So 3 things: breaking down this silo channel model, using active and passive data at every step, and hearing what your customers are saying to you and bringing them back, bringing value back from that particular piece of information into your business. We'll approach them step by step. This is currently the scheme of things, but you have many, many different channels, and I can talk to you about specific digital marketing channels only, just to simplify this, because the moment we put in store marketing, partner marketing, offline, online, etc., it becomes even more complicated. If you have to manage a simple website online, you have to deal with organic traffic, direct traffic. If you're running emails, that's also another source of traffic. Then you have social, you may have video, you may have referral. These are about 6 to 7 channels, simple ones, which can create a lot of complexity just for a website for you to manage. And are you ensuring that you're talking to each of them holistically? Digital marketing is not a striker's game. It's very much like football, where it's a game with assists and defense. Anyway, I digress. Let me come back to the point. We are looking at different channels in silos, but your consumer or your customer does not really observe that differentiation. He or she is going to use all these channels irrespective of the complexity he or she is creating for you. How can you move from individual channels to a more customer-focused model? And that's where I want to introduce to you the concept of data-driven attribution. Now, it may sound like a complicated term, but be with me. I'll try and simplify. Most people currently are buying digital marketing on a last click basis. Now, data-driven attribution, how it works, I'll use an example. So housing.com is a client of ours, and they used data-driven attribution to get very strong results. And I'll talk through that example and hopefully communicate what DDA is all about. Now, what did they do? Housing.com started looking at mobile differently. They said, listen, we understand that mobile is giving us a lot of volume, but we are missing the value of mobile somewhere, because they were still buying media on a last click basis. Now, what happens typically with a mobile device is that it's a research mode. You're looking at stuff, researching, moving on, later on purchasing elsewhere. What data-driven attribution was able to do for housing.com was move that needle from the last click channel to mobile first. And the moment they did that, their cross-device conversions grew. What cross-device conversion simply means is that the conversion which, let's say, Mihir got, in fact started on a laptop where Buddha was researching. And this wasn't getting attributed previously, but now is. That's what they were able to do, and they got massive results. 68% uplift in conversions coming from search across all devices. That's something which they did not see before. And a reduction in cost per acquisition after switching to data-driven attribution. So that's an example, but I'll also very quickly spend half a minute on how does this really work. You remember the example earlier where I brought in a digital savvy mom and spoke to you about one of her consumer journeys. Now think of all those consumer journeys who have landed, let's say, on his website and have converted. They've come from different touch points. They've come from different channels. But once you start looking at it from a machine learning lens, what you realize is, oh, I see there is a pattern here. I see that there is something which is of value, which is getting missed. In housing.com's case, it was mobile. And the moment you start analyzing all those paths, you move away from a channel-only marketing point of view. And you start focusing on where your customers are. Because that's the conversation which your customer is having with you. And this, by the way, applies individually to all of your businesses. DDA is not a one-size-fits-all. So yeah, my last comment on this would be, analyze all these consumer journeys for yourself and see if data-driven attribution as a thought starter works for you. By the way, just so that you know, data-driven attribution is making a, well, I wouldn't say it's making a debut, but it's definitely seeping into a lot of our products. You can find it in AdWords, you can find it in Google Analytics, you can find it also in DoubleClick. That's the question which I wanted to stop, or rather, pause on this topic with. Are you working together to break down channel silos and look at different kinds of incentives so that the customers put first? Okay, let's move on to the next thought, where I spoke to you about intelligence at every step. What do I mean by that? Expand your data scope with similar audience. The core concept is, you know your best customers. You know high customer lifetime value cohorts in your data, and you can apply these to find more people who are similar to that cohort. The way you do that is by putting your data to work. Right now, there's a lot of data which is lying with you. I mean, I define it as active and passive. A lot of your audience data, simple things like remarketing list. Everybody familiar with remarketing? Right? You know people who are coming visiting your website. You can find more people like those simply because you know that yesterday when I saw 100 people come on my website, 10 of them engaged with my website a lot more than the others. I want to find more people like those. In fact, you could do something else as well. You can say, I don't want more people like the 90 who I received yesterday because they don't engage with my website. So it works both ways. So expanding your data scope with similar audience is the crux of this section. Again, I love examples, and I wanted to bring it to life with Uber. And I'm going to talk to you about the example where they were able to use their own data to get better returns on their app campaigns. Uber is an app-only business, mobile first. What do they care about? Scale and efficiency. I keep going back to those things. They want cheaper downloads with high quality engagement. That is scale and efficiency. And if you can give them more of those, they'll be very happy. And that's exactly what happened here. Uber used what we called a universal app campaign. Now, I don't want to bore you with the terminology. Just know that universal app campaign is the newest offering from Google, which has a lot of smarts built into it already. What did Uber do? They used universal app campaigns and pushed what we call in-app events into their data. In-app events like, for instance, when you download an app, there are many things which you do post-downloading. The first thing is you may uninstall. That's not a high-quality user. The next thing which you can do with Uber is book a ride. The third thing which you can do with Uber is maybe refer some codes to your friends. Many such in-app events, when put together, give a very strong, what I call, data scope. So the moment you put that to use and bring that in via universal app campaigns, these are the kind of results you can drive. And this is on a huge base. So they were able to get 25% higher installs at a 13% lower cost per sign-up. And the reason why this happened is simply because they decided to move from just install to post-install, which is what I mean by data scope. You're looking at integral events which make your app or your business tick. How does UAC work? Simple. Don't go by the complicated look of the chart. On the left-hand side, there is a lot of data. In the middle, you have machine learning and the smarts. On the right-hand side, you have engaged users, high-quality installs coming to you across different properties. So how can you use your audience data with machine learning to unlock value from more customers? Now let's move to the third thing. Here is, of course, our example which we've been using forever. And this one particular journey is what we mapped just to exemplify that if in case you were able to use these individual channels, she already would have converted with you. Final section on customer insights into business value. I'll come straight to the product which I'm going to use to exemplify this. I have a case study as well so that you get a little more familiar with what smart display campaigns are. The word smart may be a misnomer because you can put it anywhere, but the reason why we put it here is because when display advertising started out, it was mostly about, let me buy traffic on this website. Let me buy traffic against these keywords. Let me buy traffic against these individual videos. A lot of that was manual effort. So 3 things which I feel were painful and won't be anymore is what should my bid be, what should my targeting be, and what should my creative be. Imagine what if I told you, you don't have to worry about any of that. All you need to do is tell me what exactly is your budget, what is the cost per install or cost per acquisition you want to convert at, and what are your creatives. Completely taking away the complexity in managing display for you, which is why the word smart, to contrast it from the not so smart display campaign setups earlier. Bank Bazaar is another customer of ours, aggregator. They do a lot of interesting things online where they offer you financial products including loans, insurance, etc. Used smart display campaigns very smartly. Of course, they got great results, but I'll come back to this slide after I tell you the story. Bank Bazaar doesn't have all of its conversions happening online. Rarely do you see people take a loan online. You require a conversation, right? You wouldn't even buy an insurance online. I mean, of course, I understand that there are lots of renewals on car insurance and bike insurance which you can do online, but these are products which require conversation. So most of their conversions will happen offline once you've spoken to someone or once you've met someone. What they realized was that individual data about their customer sets which were converting wasn't available online, and they decided to push that back into their ad campaigns, which is why I say they were smart about using display advertising. So what they did was, and bear with me, they get, let's say, 100 leads for a loan. 2 of those convert. 2 of those convert offline. Online ad campaign management does not know which 2 have converted. This is where Bank Bazaar starts doing things differently. They start indicating that, by the way, out of these 100, these 2 actually converted. And this happens on a daily, recurring basis. They start pushing all of their data back into their ad management campaigns, speaking to all the creatives, to all the targeting, to all the bidding. That's why I said they use it smartly. Importing offline conversions is something which enabled them to get massive results with their display campaigns. And we don't really hear such results very often. If you look at, I just wanted to highlight this bit. The cost per acquisition on display was equal to the cost per acquisition on search. If you're a digital marketing manager, this makes your quarter. Rarely do I see results where display matches search. Rarely. But that happened in the case of Bank Bazaar because they were able to use the smartness provided with an intelligent way by importing offline data back into your account. How does it work? What do you provide? You provide your cost per acquisition, you provide a budget, and you provide creative assets. And then the wheels churn. What we do is we ensure that you get the right user with the right bid across all display inventory with the creative built individually for that auction. And this to me is simplicity at scale. It'll take away all the complexity from you managing a large scale display campaign. And by the way, I'm a practitioner. I've been using digital marketing myself for years. I've seen the product grow. And because I've grown up with these different products and I've used a variety of them, to me this is revolutionary. Nothing short of that. Finally, just to reiterate, how are you evaluating channels holistically and looking to put customers first, which we spoke of through data-driven attribution and the example from housing.com. How can you use audience data with machine learning to unlock value from more customers, which was the idea about similar audiences. Can you really pick up what Uber did, not necessarily for an app, but for any kind of business? And the final thing, of course, is are you using those customer insights, which may be lying outside the online domain, but bringing them back in and unlocking further value for your business? And that's it. Thank you.